Hello, everyone. Welcome to Moonride. This is Dave Johnson. I'm channeling the man in the moon today. This will be a political reading, political predictions on two things. One, situation in Ukraine. And the second one, it looks like Smirnov, who was the Republican star witness, turns out to have been essentially a spy. So I want to see if that's going to have any effect on the Republicans who supported the fabrication of Hunter Biden's supposed actions in that region of Ukraine. As many of you may know, I do feel strongly that this is a difficult situation in Ukraine. And I feel about this, especially strongly about this in the next month. If Putin's going to do something really, really bad, I believe that it will happen in March. I don't think that it's certain. And I've hesitated putting up this reading because I don't want to terrify people. But I am very worried about what Putin might do in the next month in Ukraine. Let's take a look at this first. Again, I've been putting this reading off. I don't want to freak anybody out here. So let's see what Spirit tells me about Ukraine. I see Zelenskyy, and he looks like he's still fighting, but he also sheds a tear. He is sad about what happens. There's a particular, it's like a river that runs along. I don't know anything about geography of Ukraine, but, and this may be symbolic, but it's like there's a river that runs maybe 2/3 of the way into Ukraine, and that's what Ukraine was before Russia took over a portion of it. And maybe that's the line of defense. It's some kind of a divider, and he's pointing to it. And he does point to the water. Many of the concerns that I have about Russia are this, that Putin will do something with the water. And I shouldn't say Russia. Please do not blame the Russian people. They're just people like us. It is the leaders of these people that always turn out to be evil, corrupt. And that's just what I'm seeing for Putin. I just see this very dark figure. He looks like a Dracula monster, kind of. There's just shadow there. There's no light. There's no soul, I have to say. It's like he's a machine, a cruel machine. He does not care how many of his people die in this war. It's just about him. Does that sound like another leader in the United States? It's just about him. Everything that is done, and let's just be fair, by certain leaders is just selfish. And they just attach themselves to the selfishness of others. So if it's useful for people to follow people like Putin or Trump, they will give up their souls to do it. They're also self-involved, selfish, we might say ambitious people. Yeah, this Putin stuff is very dark. It's just I keep seeing his teeth and him almost like, like in video games, they used to have like almost like it was almost like for a car where you shift. He's got one of those things in his hand and he's just shifting, shifting, shifting. And it's like, the car isn't working. It's not shifting right. I got to do something really dramatic. And I get this overwhelming feeling. He doesn't care. He does not care about the consequences. He doesn't care about human beings. And as I live in Australia, it's like he's a crocodile. He just waits in the water. There's no humanity. It's just, I'm the crocodile. I just wait for the flesh and I eat it. And he enjoys being that person. He enjoys not having any consequences to his actions and having no moral compass. But Zelensky is also showing his power here. He raises this fist. It's not a happy fist. He does not raise it high, but it's almost like we will keep fighting despite the pain, because there's real suffering in his eyes. And one thing I think we all should note is, Spirit has presented these two characters, one who clearly does care about his people, and one who clearly does not. It's up to us to recognize the difference between these two characters, and in some sense, we can thank Spirit for sending us such clear differences between these two people. All I can say is, pray for Ukraine and the people of the region, whatever nation they are in, and pray that there is peace there. The Ukrainian people will fight on. I don't perceive that they will lose. I think that they will get to some portion of difficulty, but they will prevail eventually. Again, please send out your prayers for those people in that region, especially Ukraine. And now let's take a look at the Republicans. What are they going to do? And this is in regard to the Smirnov. They could get in a lot of trouble. It's illegal to promote Russian conspiracy theories because it benefits a foreign power who are not our allies, not democratic. So it's getting Chuck Grassley. They criticize Biden for being old, but man, take a look at Chuck Grassley. I mean, he is old, and that's the feeling that I get, is just an old, bumbling fool. And sorry, I don't mean to criticize the elderly. I don't care how old you are. You might be a genius at 100. You're doing great if you made 100, but Chuck Grassley is not doing great. And it has crossed his mind. He is bright enough to know that this could lead to some serious charges, among other things. They don't look particularly good. Republicans will, create these situations where they will have the pretense that a Democrat has done something wrong. So we keep hearing about Burisma, and there is no evidence that anybody did anything wrong regarding Burisma. The evidence is the opposite. Biden did not interfere in an investigation of Burisma. There's literally nothing there. We keep hearing that, oh, Biden's son Hunter is not qualified for the job. Does anybody know what the qualifications of that job are? It's hogwash. No no vice president's kids are qualified for the jobs they get. They get them because they have a name. That's 20% of the American population gets their job because of some family connection or personal connection. That's not illegal. There is no crime. So I guess one question is, will this sway the American public at all? And I'm seeing the James Comer's face, and he's kind of going, it's just a very cynical, it doesn't matter if it's true. It's propaganda. We all know that it's propaganda, and that's what he believes in, propaganda. He does not believe in the truth. So Grassley, but Grassley's getting a little bit nervous. Comer looks sad. There's others involved like Josh Hawley. It's actually made Josh Hawley even more conniving. Jim Jordan even more cruel. And the one thing about Chuck Grassley is he does seem to care more about humanity. The others are just out for themselves. They couldn't care less what happens to America or others. They're out for themselves. But Chuck Grassley does have some kind of human soul. And he's a little bit angry that he was set up in this way. Comer just looks sad. I should say, kind of mean-spirited, he looks like a person who just ate a lemon. And actually, he's throwing the lemon and slamming his fist. And it's like he's saying, couldn't you guys find something else? Couldn't you find better dirt? He does not blame himself. He blames those around him for not scouring around well enough to find some dirt. And, he's actually kind of angry, there really isn't anything on Hunter Biden. So, it's like, how could there be a person dishonest? How could that exist? And so what about America? It doesn't really register. You think about the things that are wrong. The timing wasn't great. They could have faked this 2 weeks before the election and there wouldn't have been time to undo it. Now, by the time the election rolls around, there won't be any investigation for a long time. It's just going to be another investigation that went nowhere. It has a little bit of a feeling that the average American person, the centrist American, is not so sure anymore that any of these investigations have any value. We just keep seeing investigation after investigation and they don't really do anything. There's never a conclusion. It's just conservative news. So conservative news has bits and pieces here. It's good for Fox, they can promote this stuff, but it's going to help the election? No. Yeah, it's like it just goes into a black hole. And for those people who are, skeptical of the Republicans, it's just reassuring us that they don't really do anything. They just throw mud. So will there be any legal consequences for people like Chuck Grassley? Chuck Grassley seems a little bit more able, because of his time in the Senate, to disavow this stuff, to move away from it a little bit, to kind of, hedge his bets a little bit, kind of say he wasn't exactly right. He seems to be able to, at least we can say he's an experienced enough politician at the age of, he's like 93 or something. At his advanced age, we can see that he is a consummate politician. He's good enough to do that. He's not, again, what does it have to do with age? He's not dim. His he's as effective as he always was. So however effective that might be. But the others are really seriously digging in. And they do seem a bit worried. Jim Jordan is in for something. So Jim Jordan might be the guy who they focus on, because I just get the word liability. Jim Jordan is a liability for the Republican Party because he saw the abuse of his people on the wrestling team that he was the head of, and these were college students, and he didn't do anything. So it's sort of like a game of one. It's only Jim fighting for Jim. There are people fighting alongside him like Josh Hawley, but they'll dump him the minute they can because they're all self-serving. So Grassley seems worried. Comer looks like a deer in the headlights. Josh Hawley looks vengeful. Jim Jordan keeps coming forward, and it does seem like there'll be consequences for him. Not jail, which is a pity, but there maybe is the threat of jail. I just see Jim Jordan kind of turning away and scurrying away. It just might be that his career is over, he's asked to leave, he resigns. It might simply be that they say, look, you either leave and get replaced, or we're gonna put in, we are gonna pursue this at the Justice Department. Hmm. So once more, will there be a consequence with the American people? This is just like highlighting everything that's wrong with the Republican Party. They never do anything, they never solve any problems. They just create fake stories over and over again. And while this has worked in some temporary fashion, it won't work in the long run. The people who believe that stuff are older, they're Fox News watchers, they're not young people, and they will eventually move on to the next life. So there will only be a sort of memory of the Republicans, and it's not the memories of Reagan. Not that I think he was so great. It's the memories of these people who are just not effective. They just don't solve any of the problems for the average American person and anyone in the world. Biden shines a little brighter. He does seem to address the problems. At least he is doing his best, and he has solved a lot of problems. Look at the unemployment rate right now, and the stock market is doing excellent. There are a lot of good things that Biden has done. It's a question of people moving beyond the hype. Let us all hope that they do. But I do think that this is inevitable. We're learning how this propaganda works, and we're learning better how to recognize it. And people are taking it more seriously because it has personal consequences for those out there that are watching right now. It makes a difference now who the president is and who these senators are more than it has in the past. These are critical elections, critical times that are testing all of us, all of our resolve. And in some ways, that's a great thing from the universe. We are alive today, and we are working towards greater understanding of the leadership around us. Thanks so much for watching.